Hello and welcome to Read with Pride, a podcast focused on LGBTQIA plus literature brought to you by the Ocean County Library's Ocean Pride Committee.
Hi, I'm Diane, pronouns she, her. I work at the Toms River Branch and I'm on the Ocean Pride Committee.
And my name is Caitlin. My pronouns are she, her, or they, them, and I work at the Lakewood Branch and I'm one of the co-chairs of the Ocean Pride Committee.
Right. Today we are talking about manga.
Yay!
I know. It's interesting because you chose manga. You were like, let's do manga. And I've never been a huge lover of manga. So it was a good, to step out of my comfort zone, and we'll find out. I was happy with the choice.
Yeah.
I think maybe I was always looking at the wrong manga books.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like the ones I would read they were always very excitable in them.
Yes. So here's the thing that a lot of people don't stop to realize so much about manga and anime is it's a format, it's not a genre. So there are so many genres that are within manga itself, and I've came across a lot of what you're talking about. I think a lot of them are usually the very popular shonen style, which are very focused on those action-y plots. But I always really loved kind of more the slice of life manga, or the ones that deal more with some of the high fantasy stuff, things like that.
I think that's what I didn't know about. Not that I didn't know about the slice of life, because obviously I knew about that from anime, things like that. But I didn't realize to try to look for that
within manga.
Yeah.
I've been reading manga since I was 11 was when I read my first one. And I remember the first manga I read and the first series I read in full. And I was forever changed from them. And so also, I consume a lot.
Also, you read manga backwards.
Yes.
In our, So
yes.
When I did read them, sometimes I was like, okay, I read it first page, but then it's this page and this panel, right? It's still backwards. Okay.
Yeah.
So that I had to get used
It's something
to.
that your brain has to get used to. And one of the things that I've realized, honestly, for myself is I read both manga and what is also called manhwa and webtoons and things. So okay. I go back and forth. So sometimes I've been reading manga for a while, and then I start reading a webtoon where it's done in the traditional left to right way here in the Western English publishing world. And so I realize I'm trying to read it what would be considered backward, and I have to readjust my brain when I'm switching to that new one.
Yeah. It was interesting. I actually read this while I was in a waiting room of a hospital, and somebody recognized, they were like, oh, are you reading manga? Because of the way I was reading it.
Yep.
So that was kind of something interesting. So, all right, we're going to start. First we're going to talk a little bit about our books. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the book that you chose?
Sure. I chose Boys Run the Riot, and it is about a teenage boy he's a trans boy. His name's Rio, and he is not out to anyone actually yet. Everyone still refers to him as being a girl. Everyone still expects him to wear the girl's uniform at school, and one of his largest aspects of his identity is related to his clothing. So he often tries to wear the more unisex looking PE outfits to school every day. But he loves to wear teenage boys' fashionable clothing when he's just going out in the world and hanging out. And he has to do that a lot, though, in areas where his schoolmates and teachers aren't going to be, because he doesn't want to have to explain to them that he is a boy yet. He's not ready to necessarily come out to everyone. But he meets a new friend. This friend's name is Jin. Jin is also very into fashion, and their friendship kind of leads to Rio getting to open up a little bit and start living a more authentic truth for himself.
My book is Run Away With Me Girl. It's by Battan. I tried to look, this is an adult fiction. I tried to look in our manga collection, and I was trying to specifically find, obviously, LGBTQ slice of life. I wanted to look. And I grabbed a few manga that day, and this was the one that kind of spoke to me the most. This one is about two girls, and when they were in high school, they dated, but then when they left high school, Maki and Midori were their names. Midori told the one girl, oh, we have to be grown up. We can't be gay anymore, And so but Maki has always loved Midori. So, and then you like go like fast forward 5 years later, I think. I'm not sure about the time, but and like where their lives are now.
Yeah.
So it was beautifully drawn. I loved it.
Yes.
And yeah, that was the book that I chose.
Yes. I read that one a while ago, but so I don't fully remember it, but I remember loving it so much. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah. So, and again, like I'm going to go right to why did I choose the book? I literally went to our adult manga section because a lot of people are like, oh, there's a lot of BL and GL. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Like BL for boy love, GL for girl love.
Yep.
In YA, but I wanted to see, and there's a good variety in adults as well. So I went to the adult fiction section and I was like, well, this looks very clearly GL on the cover. And that's why I chose it. So, and I read it really fast. It's, be similar to a graphic novel, we know. So it's a quick read. So.
Yeah. And the reason I chose mine specifically, again, Boys Run the Riot, and it's by Keito Gaku. And for this one, I chose it specifically because I had never gotten to it. It's a YA book. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that I've ever read a YA manga where the protagonist is a trans man character. Like that is something that I don't think we see a lot. I think it's still relatively kind of new, especially in the more mainstream manga that we're getting the ability to purchase in our libraries. And this one, I remember when it came out, it was really, really popular. Everyone was really excited about it, and it's good. Mm-hmm. Like I had read it, I want to say 3 years ago, the first time around. And I read it kind of as it came out and remembered liking it a lot. And so when I picked it up and thought, you know what, I really want to highlight this one in the podcast, I reread the whole thing and I was blown away by how good it really is and how much it's holding up in this reread.
Well, I see you have all those tabs.
Yes.
So, when you tab a book, are there anything specific or is it just random, like your favorite parts or?
Some of it's my favorite parts. Some of it's what I felt like I was tagging the most across this one was where Rio had some sort of acknowledgement of his identity and the struggles he was having it, or he had some sort of response to one of those struggles of his identity. So one of the first things I chose was actually the very first page that we have includes showing that Rio binds. Mm-hmm. And in it, there's a little editor's note that says, please bind responsibly. And then says, for more information, go to page 226. And then if you go there, there's actually a whole little informational paragraph that's about binding and why Rio does it the way he does it and what is considered responsible binding. And I thought that was really cool that it specifically included that. Sure. So that anyone who would start out reading kind of knew. And then from there, a lot of what I tabbed again was just related to how his schoolmates were treating him, and when he started to refer to himself as a more masculine person, they would give him looks, and he would clock when they would start looking at him strangely, and he would get nervous and stuttering and he said specifically, I can't stand those looks most of all. But then one of my next tabs is about how he is able to, on the weekends, go out dressed fully in boys' clothes. People, when they pass him on the street, refer to him as a guy. And he specifically says that he's always been interested in clothes since he was a kid. He's always wanted to wear his big brother's clothes. And that when he wears his favorite clothes, he feels at ease. And it's the only time he doesn't see a version of himself that he hates. And so a lot of my tabs are about him beginning to explain how his identity relates to the clothing and to how he's living his life. Because as I'll kind of talk about with this book, clothing and fashion and how he's able to express and present himself to the world is a very large part of him being able to be true to himself and his identity as a trans boy.
Interesting. I didn't tab like you. I do what I do when I read a graphic novel or this as a manga is I take pictures because the illustrations or the drawings are just so beautiful. And I think one of the first ones I took was of the cute, like there was a beautiful picture on, I don't know, very early into it of Maki and Midori. Like it was like a full page picture of them just being their lovely lesbian selves, you know? And so that was like the first one. And then I always go back and I look and I'm like, oh, the other things that I took pictures of were always like beautiful pictures. Like that's what I'm.
Yeah, you really like the artwork and like how it conveys the moments and things like
yes.
that. Yeah,
and I think that oh yeah, I'm looking at the pictures I took because obviously I borrow my books.
Yes.
So I know it's going to go back, but I want that. And sometimes I'll take it and I'll take the picture and I'll photocopy it and I'll put it in my like journal.
That's cute. That's
yeah.
a really great way to keep it for yourself.
Yes, if I had that, it would have been easier today.
Yeah.
But instead, I look at my phone. But yes, I think also sometimes the artwork is so grabbing. You know, like there's this one page. It's just a whole page, and there's no words on it, but you can read so much in the picture.
Yes.
Which is one of the great things about a graphic novel. Like because my mind is always wandering, it helps me to like see the visual. And
the art
to connect with
matters a lot, especially when you're reading any sort of graphic novel, manga. Visual literacy is a thing in and of itself. And the art being able to convey the emotion is something that I know I've specifically both looked for in series that I've read and also been able to point out some of those major moments when I think back on them and think, why did I love this scene so much? Why did this specific manga or graphic novel resonate with me so much? And a lot of the times it's the way that the expressions were captured or the way that the scene was drawn and things like that.
You know what's interesting? Here's a question for you, since you know more about manga than I. This is all black and white, obviously, like newspaper print. Are mangas always like that?
Yep.
Oh, they are
so
always
usually,
like that.
sometimes there's, you know, the colors are on cover, and sometimes you get an insert, like in Boys Run the Riot. The very first page here, it's Rios saying, I hate my uniform. It's stiff and annoying, hot in the summer, cold in the winter. But the biggest reason is that every morning it reminds me that I'm female. And this is the only page that's of the comic itself, that's of the story, that's in color.
Interesting.
So they'll sometimes put in that kind of splash page to make it stand out and as like the start of the graphic novel, but the majority of the manga of all the chapters are going to be in black and white.
And mine, they do have one page, but it's almost like a preview of what's to come.
Yeah.
It's all the way at the back of the book, and and it's like, you know, the future, because the book that I got is three volumes. Thank you.
I got you.
3 volumes, and we have them all in the library.
Yes.
So yeah, and at the end there's definitely a little preview of like what's to come, which makes you like, oh, I can't wait to read the other ones, which I have, but I haven't read them yet. And,
Boys Run the Riot is 4 volumes long.
Okay.
So yes, we own them in the library here. I obviously, the ones that I brought today because I tabbed them are my personal copies of manga because if I really love a specific series, I usually will read them from the library first, which is a great way to kind of figure out what I like. And then if I really enjoy it, I always go out and buy my own copies after. So
I try not to buy anymore because I moved a lot in the past and I hated moving books.
Yeah.
Moving books is a torturous thing that anyone that's a book reader knows
it
about.
surely is.
Yes.
Yep.
So
my brother was not happy with me when he was helping me move.
Oh boy. And then you want to make sure you have the small boxes, but then you have 7,000 small boxes, you know.
I remember my father defending me being like, yeah, she has to have all those books now. It's going to be her career. So, you know, it makes sense now that she kept them. And in order to like pacify my brother when he was helping us with all the boxes.
So did your opinion of the book change as you read it? Like of your book?
Did it change? You know, I don't really think it changed. It's kind of what it says on the title. It shows where we have our 2 major characters. We have Rio looking at us on the cover. We have Jin looking kind of away from us. And it's all very focused on their fashion and what they're wearing. It has a lot of kind of graffiti images. And when these 2 boys decide to start a fashion brand together when they become friends. And so they're making teen male fashion. And A lot of it is graffiti inspired. Ryo's the artist, whereas Jin is more the business marketing man behind the scenes. He's kind of making sure all of the pieces are going together, while Ryo is the one putting all of the art and expressionism out. And Ryo does a lot of graffiti art throughout. And when just going back to talk about the artwork that is shown.
Oh, wow.
One of the very big moments is when Ryo is coming out to Jin, and Jin finds him. They had a fight where Jin was speaking about him as if he was a girl, which Jin did not know at the time that Ryo is a trans boy. And so he's like, why are you so angry at me? And then Ryo admits it. And as he found Ryo had been doing a graffiti portrait. And the graffiti portrait is it's a shirtless male figure coming out from inside of a zipper. It's coming out of the clothes of a figure you can't really see, but he's like bursting out and like face turned towards kind of the sun, and he's coming right on out. And Jin specifically says, just look at the message that we're going to be sending, because he sees how passionate Ryo is and how much work he put in to it's a beautiful full page image where it's just his graffiti artwork. And so that's their start for their fashion, is Ryo is going to be designing everything.
So is Jin an ally, or do we know, like...
As far as I can tell, yes. He didn't know much of anything. He was just like, oh, well, I didn't know. Like, okay. Yeah, that's you. This is you. Of course, you're my friend. I want to know more about this. Like, that is his immediate reaction. Is he goes to him and is just like, I'm. One of the things that happens is Jin goes to find him, and Ryo says, I'm a guy on the inside, because Jin is just like, be honest with me. Why are we so upset? And then during that, he's crying, and he's saying why he gets so pissed off when he has to be treated like a girl at school, and everything that makes him upset. And then he says, oh my gosh, what did I just say? And he starts regretting it immediately. And then Jin immediately says, well, what the heck? You should have said that before. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to understand? I don't know anything about your pain and suffering. Even if I spent my whole life trying, I wouldn't fully get it. But I think I want to know. Why wouldn't I want a friend to confide in me? Let it all out. Do you think I can't take it or something? So nice. He's immediately like, you're right. I don't know anything.
Right.
But I want to. And I want to be someone that you can trust and tell. And so from there, he specifically, like, he does everything he kind of can to show Ryo that he supports him and is there for him and treats him as himself.
Right. Did you read the whole series?
I read the whole series, but I read the whole series a while back. I've only reread the first one.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So my opinion of my book changed because I was not a big fan of manga, like I said. So I was like, oh, this is really good. And I really read it, and it was it was more than a cute romance, like that's when I was like, oh, this is just gonna be a cute romance, but it had like deeper, definitely, you find out that Midori, so it goes very fast. You find out that Midori is now 5-10 years later, whatever it is engaged to be married. I think it was definitely 5 or less, she's engaged to be married, and you find out that she's pregnant, and she's happy she's pregnant because she never wants to be alone. Yeah. And so she knew, like, by having this baby, she'd never be alone. Yeah. Which is like some deep stuff, Yeah. And then Maki just becomes like her friend. Like, they're really good friends again. But at the same time, she's like, well, why am I with, she wants to be more than friends. And she will always love her. So there's that. And then you find out that the boy that Midori is engaged to was actually picked on when he was young. So he tried to find like a girl that was like perfect in a way, but then he's mean also. You find out, I don't know if you recall. So I don't want to give away too much, but
there's a lot of how people treat you can affect how you start treating people, and then when does the victim start kind of becoming the perpetrator of things.
Right, for sure. Yeah, so that was very interesting. Like, it was just deeper than I thought. I was like, oh, it's just going to be a cute little like girl love book, and it was more. And I will read 2 and 3 to see where it goes. The whole thing at the back, there's like, even the front shows like, oh, they're both in like wedding suit dresses. So like, does she run away with her, and does she get married? We don't know. So
it seems like that one again. I think I only read the first one a while back too, but it's. Like you said, it's a lot deeper than you might think on the surface. And I think from what you've said, what I remember, it's a really interesting exploration of compulsive heterosexuality, where you think that you have to kind of conform to society standards and you have to live straight. Like when you said Midori started, once they entered the real world, she said that they couldn't be together anymore. They had to grow up. They had to, I guess, start dating guys or whatever. They couldn't date each other. Right. And I think that that's something that doesn't get necessarily explored a lot in detail in a lot of the GL manga that I've read, about how you might have these feelings and even be able to know them or name them to a point, but your societal expectations, the exploration that it seems to go into in depth, isn't necessarily something I think I've seen very often, at least in my other series.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is, to me, I feel like it's in my world, it was very like, oh, you wouldn't date a girl. It was like, it wouldn't be done. And then later on is when you would figure out maybe. But it was fine for her to be in high school, and then right, and then she was like, "Oh nope, she has to."
Once she entered society, she was like, "This is done. I can't live like this in society." Yeah. So, it's a very, I like that it takes kind of that different take than I think a lot of, and again, it's like you said, a lot of the times in GL, it's just like, oh well, I wouldn't date a girl, and then you meet someone, and then you're like, oh, so I would. Blah, blah, blah. You don't often get where it kind of starts in the middle like this, where they've already had an entire love story together.
Right. It's true. Yeah.
And then she said, well, now that's done, and moved along and tried to live her life with kind of the heteronormative expectations that society puts on her, but now she's reconnected with Maki.
Right. And it's sad. It is. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so sad to think like, and I mean, you've always heard like, oh, it's puppy love. So many people like date someone during high school and they feel like they have to end that and move on to like, either, homosexual or heterosexual, like onto different things. But yeah, who knows, if you love someone when you're young, that could be the love of your life or whatever. But, so yeah, I felt sad for Midori and Maki, but,
yes. All right. So what did you like most about your book, and what did you like the least?
What did I like? Well, what I liked the least was there's this, when we find out that the boyfriend or the fiance is violent. Oh, and he's mean. He's like mean verbally. Like first he's verbally mean to her. Like he's just puts her down, puts Midori down. But then later on he, he gets like a little more violent. And so that was the least I liked. And what did I like most about it? I don't know. Like I think I just liked that it was not what I was expecting. Yeah. I think that's probably what I liked.
It surprised you, especially when it comes to manga, when you haven't like gotten to really get into it before quite as much.
Yes. Yeah. It was just as good as any graphic novel that I would pick up. Yeah. Like that I was very happy with. And I have to say, many times I'm like, oh, there's so many words in this manga. There's not a lot of words. But if I look at a page and I'm like, oh, all these words, I don't really always want to read it because I'm so used to like doing other things or listening to my audiobooks. So, but yeah, I did really enjoy it. Yes. What about you? What did you like most and least about your book?
Gosh, so I loved this book so much. The friendship that Ryo and Jin are building is probably one of my favorite aspects of it. They also end up making a third friend along the way, which I'm not going to spoil too much because he comes in towards the end of this first volume. But they're not going to be running this fashion brand and business completely on their own. Okay. And I think maybe my least favorite part was... Well, here's the thing is, my least favorite parts are possibly like how sometimes they make the mistakes in how they treat each other. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't like that you treated each other with this way. But then those are meant to be their learning their learning moments, and then they come back out the other end and say, you're right, I shouldn't have done this, and I don't know why I let peer pressure, because you two are considered weird, get the better of me. And I think that's actually a good thing in the long term. So I don't want to, I don't necessarily want to say it's my least favorite part, but it's my least favorite while you're reading it, before you get to, okay, this character needed to go through this to be able to come to terms with their own sort of identities and their own confidence levels. So I get why it has to happen. And then one of my other favorite parts is actually not part of the story itself at all. So Keito Gaku is actually a trans man himself. And that's another thing with manga, especially with anything that's LGBT themed. Having own voices is not super common. Okay. I think it's getting more common, but I was very excited to know that this was written by a trans man. And at the end, he actually does an interview with the English localization team. And I thought the interview was an amazing, amazing thing, because he really breaks down some of the reasons that he makes some of the choices. He kind of explains the relation to fashion, which is all there in the text too, but it's nice to get the author's opinion on it. And then we have also the acknowledgments from the editor, who is they are part of Kodansha Comics, and they actually say in their acknowledgments, let me just double check here, that their colleagues at Penguin Random House and Kodansha Comics gave their support, encouragement, and the creative freedom that they gave for the editor Tiff Joshua TJ Ferrenti to arrange to have an all-transgender localization team behind the English language release of this amazing, one-of-a-kind transgender manga from a transgender artist. And I thought that was so wonderful to know, and it really just, those kind of extra bits at the end, which you don't always think about, but I bothered to stop and look through them and read them, and it made it feel like you can tell the care that's put in here, but it's so important to be able to track back and say, look, these people are very clearly invested. This was a passion project for them. They're specifically saying so in their acknowledgments in these interviews, and it's personal to them too.
Do you think all those, the author notes, and that was in the original version?
So it was not. This was all done for the English version because they specifically had this is the localization team was done for the English version here, and they asked the author to do this interview for the English release. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have heard about Boys Run the Riot a lot. Like since we've been doing Read with Pride, people have been like, also, they like throw in Boys Run the Riot, but I never read it, so maybe I'll have to give it a chance.
I very much recommend it, and I'll literally throw my copy at you if you wanted it after this.
I would hate to take anyone's copy, but now I'm looking for I'm like about my author, and all it does say is there's a little pixelated thing, and it says best known for being the author and artist of, and they have a few books, obviously the 3 Run Away With Me Girl, but I can't find much about them, so I don't know.
That's very common for manga artists, and actually I'm going to reference my my book's interview again here, where one of the questions that's asked of the author of Boys Run the Riot is, it says, manga artists are often known to be private about their personal lives, especially LGBTQ plus manga artists when asked about their gender identity and sexuality. So it's actually kind of rare for example, Keito Gaku to be so open and out in discussing how his experience as a transgender man has influenced his writing and work. A lot of the times you really don't know much about the authors. I think, sometimes they'll have a Twitter. They'll post a little bit on Twitter, but a lot of the times it's just to kind of publicize and promote, not so much about their personal lives.
That's interesting.
I think a lot of them also will sometimes use pseudonyms, or they'll make cute little drawn characters that are meant to represent them, but it's not. It's there's a little bit of, not a disconnect, but a character that they're kind of putting forward if they're having to take on their and actually interact in amongst their role as the author. I've seen that a lot, at least.
That is interesting, and so it's more about the book and the story than them. for my book.
Hello, adventurers. If you enjoy this content, please take a look at the Ocean County Library's new podcast called Forge Your Imagination, a guide to immersive world building. This new podcast is dedicated to helping creative individuals design their own expertly crafted worlds for books, games, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Tune in on the first Wednesday morning of every month to learn more. Thanks for listening, and safe travels, adventurers.
So we know that you had a lot of feelings about your book. So how did it make you feel?
I felt like it connected with kind of that aspect of identity in general. So obviously, our main character, Rio, he is a trans boy, and that's a large part of his identity. But the author, specifically both in the text and in the interviews, make sure you know that is not the only aspect of Rio's identity, and that his love of fashion and his dedication to his friendships and things like that, that's also all part of his identity. But when he's not being true to himself and who he is, he's not able to accept those aspects of his identity to the fullest. And so it's not that this is being trans is his whole identity, but it informs a lot of his confidence. And the author also says that he wanted it to be relatable beyond the trans experience, but for all LGBT kids, for any kids who feel as if there's something, for lack of a better word, but what they might be feeling in the moment as wrong in their identity. And he wants them to know it's not wrong to be yourself, to live as yourself. And that if one of the things that actually comes up is a teacher stops to talk to Rio because he gets in trouble for doing his graffiti. And everyone's like, oh, well, we don't really care. It'll be fine. If students want to talk about something, they'll come to you. And this teacher is like, well, no, I want to see what's going on. So she puts herself out there, and she starts talking to him and finds out about the fashion brand. And he explains how he's trying to figure out what design might sell. And she says, well, I don't know much about clothes, but in just my thoughts on life, model answers are boring. If you think it's fun or interesting, then that's probably your own voice coming out. And whatever you want to convey to someone, whether it's anger or sadness or whatever moves you, even if it's a little awkward, it'll be your own way of telling it. And that's very much, I think, what the author is trying to convey. And so it very much makes me feel like there's an acceptance in this book. And it's not just Rio. Again, there's other characters who are going to be coming in who also have to accept aspects of their identities, to live their own lives, and to be comfortable in their own skin, and to be able to do the things they want to do that make them happy, and be with the friends that make them happy. And so that's how this book makes me feel. It's very accepted, and like it brings about this idea of you need to find a way to accept yourself first, but it also specifies that it still understands that societal aspects are going to be extremely hard with that. So it's not this like, oh, just accept yourself and everything will be fine. It doesn't do that.
Right.
One of the things that actually comes up later is there's another trans character who I'm not going to detail or spoil much about them, but they come in right at the end, and they mention how their mother hasn't contacted them in over a year. And the very last page of the book, again, I'm not going to go into detail with the plot aspect, but it says, living freely may also come with sacrifices, but if you still want to do it, please don't give up.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
Well, so that's interesting. So mine, okay, how did it make me feel? In the beginning, again, I thought it was just going to be like a fluffy book. And then obviously right away, I'm like, oh, that's sad that she feels like she can't be gay or be herself, And then Maki is really just living her life authentically, or trying to, but still very missing Midori, or missing something. You don't know until Midori comes back around. But when I think about it, Midori is very much about people's perception of her, like that is, and how people perceive her, and that's why she stopped being with Maki, and that's why she found this boy who's like handsome, but at the same time, like she's very intelligent, but she lets him talk down to her and be like, oh, you're so stupid. She's not stupid, is what you find out. So I don't know how it made me feel. It made me feel a lot of things. And obviously then I'm like, I need to read more. So I'll have to read the next volume. But, there's a part in it where she says like, she says like, I wish that I could go back. I really do. But that she can't. And I think that's when you find out, that she's actually pregnant and, that she's going to get married and things like that. But, I don't know. I'm hoping that as I read the next volume, I'll feel more like sometimes I'm like upset with Midori because I'm like, oh, you were making these decisions, even though you find out she's making them.
You're what got yourself here.
Right.
But it's you, at the same time still understanding those outside influences that made her think she had to kind of end up there.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. I mean, everybody in real life does things for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So, but I think, that you find out more deep of like why she's so sad, why she feels like she needs to, she'll be happy when she has this child and things like that. But, so it made me want more though. It made me want more. So that's good at the end of a series.
I also wanted more on mine. So I'm ready to reread the entire series.
So then another one of the questions is, have you read any other books by this author? I mean, you said you read more of the same series.
I did read more of the same series, and I remember still liking it very much. I don't know if I've read anything else outside of the series that was published by this author. I know that he did kind of a short one-shot at some point. I'm not sure if it was ever officially released in English, but because again, when I first read these, I don't think I read the acknowledgments in the interview and everything. So I didn't take the time to find out that, oh, hey, this author also did something else. So I might try and see if I can find access to being able to read that other short story that I know he did write and released.
Yeah, I didn't see anything else by Battan. But again, maybe they are writing, since we really don't know who the author is, like maybe they write under different names as well.
I think that's happened in some, and then sometimes it just takes a while. I know manga series, like a lot of them are released chapter by chapter, so they're serialized that way first before they're collected into volumes and published that way. So sometimes it just takes a long time for you to start kind of getting to see them.
So when they're released chapter by chapter, obviously that's similar to a comic. You can go once a week or whatever and find.
Usually it's in, I think most of the times, or at least when I was growing up, I don't know quite what they're doing exactly right now, but there was usually magazines that put them out. Like one of them was called, I think it's gone now, Shoujo Beat, and I actually have several copies, and they release like for 5 series a chapter of each of those series, and so you would get the magazine and you'd catch up on all the latest ones.
Right. Oh, yeah, so it's kind of like a webtoon now or whatever. Similar, but
yes.
Interesting. So now, I don't have any other manga books with me, but I see you have some other ones that you maybe wanted to talk about.
I did. So I had 2 options, and both of them are ones that I've read and reread, and they are both, they're very different from each other. So the other one I have here is My Love Mix-Up. And it's actually a collaboration. So the story is by a man called Wataru Hinekure, and the art is by a woman named Aruko. And Aruko has done many other things. I'm not sure that I've seen too much more from Wataru Hinekure, and I was actually trying to find him because there's not a lot, like the bios that I found pretty much just say the couple things that he's worked on, that he's a guy who lives in Japan, and that's pretty much it. And I found his Twitter, but there's not much on there, except for the book series I'm talking about, My Love Mix-Up, has had 2 live-action adaptations of it. And so he posts a lot of tweets or stories and things about those kind of thing, about those promotions. So My Love Mix-Up is a kind of comedy of errors BL manga. It's for teens, and it's about this young boy, Aoki, and he has his first love is a girl named Hashimoto. He likes her quite a lot. And she, in Japan, there is there's this thing that teenagers do where they will write the name of their crush on an eraser, and then they use up the eraser, and it's supposed to like help bring about the love. It's like it's a cute little tradition. And I've seen it in a lot of other stories. Mm-hmm. And one day Hashimoto lends Aoki her eraser, and he sees the name Ida on it. And Ida is the boy who sits in front of him. And he's like, oh, I guess she already likes someone. That stinks for me. Mm-hmm. And he drops the eraser in kind of surprise, and then Ida picks it up, sees that his name is on it, and thinks that Aoki is the one who wrote it and that it's his eraser. And instead of clearing it up, Aoki really cares about Hashimoto, and he is like, this would upset her, like this could embarrass her. I'm not going to say that it was someone else's, because then he might try to ask. It might be a larger deal.
Right.
And so he says, yeah, I guess it is mine, to cover for her. Mm-hmm. And then Ida, at first, he's like, oh, well, sorry, I have to reject you. Mm-hmm. You know, I've actually never liked anyone. Mm-hmm. But, sorry, awkward, but we're good, right? And mm-hmm. Aoki's like, yeah, sure. But then Ida sees Aoki and how Aoki kind of is acting, and Ida comes to Aoki later and says, actually, I'm going to think about it more. Give me some time to give you an answer. I'm not mm-hmm. saying anything, but I've never considered it, and I've never actually liked anyone, so I want to take this seriously. And Aoki's like, oh gosh, well, that's going to be awkward. I still can't tell you anything. But then because Ida's taking it seriously, he's hanging out with Aoki more. Mm. And then Aoki is like, oh, you are a really good guy. Maybe I do see you in a different light. Mm. And he's also at this time trying to let go of his feelings for Hashimoto, because unlike in a lot of stories where there's a love triangle, he found Hashimoto like Ida, and he was just like, okay, well, I want her happy. Mm-hmm. I want her to get what she wants. So he's actually trying to put Hashimoto and Ida together to make her happy. He's like, if I can't be happy with my crush, I want to see her happy with who she wants to be with. So he forms this friendship with her, and in doing so, again, he's trying to encourage her to be able to be with Ida. He's forming the friendship with Ida, and it's this very kind of blurry comedy of who likes who and all these misunderstandings. And one of the things that I specifically liked about it, which is why it was on my consideration, it wasn't the one I chose for the entire podcast, but it was why I had it like kind of in my bags for everything, is Ida very much throughout the entire series is just like, I don't know how love feels. I don't know how attraction feels. And he questions them a lot. He's like, oh, so you feel it like this? So is this how it's supposed to be? And for me, as someone who identifies as being on the asexual spectrum, I found a lot of relation to him as he was trying to figure out, is what I'm feeling romantic interest? Is what I'm feeling friendship? Is what I'm feeling this? And the way that he kind of struggles trying to determine it, and facing to the realization that he hasn't had to really question this aspect of himself before, and he doesn't know why it's kind of so hard for him to answer as he's going through it.
You are a good bookseller. Because I'm like, oh, so now I'm like, so wait a minute, who gets with who? But don't tell me.
I'm not going to.
But it is very. May I see? Look at one of the books.
Yes, of course.
So do we have these? Because these are yours.
We have the entire series. Okay. Yes. And I will say, please read that one. There is a big twist at the end of the first volume. I'm not saying what the twist is, but there is more to the story. There is more misunderstandings to come.
Take a picture. Yeah. But because you've got it all tabbed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it does sound really good.
I love it. I think it's like 8, maybe 9 volumes, something like that.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very good. I love it. And I've watched both of the live adaptations. There's one that was done in Japanese. I believe it was a Japanese one. And then there's one that was done in Thailand. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. They look so dashing. I have to say, sometimes it's like, oh, they're so like,
everyone's
beautiful.
drawn so prettily.
They are, yeah. Oh, and then the girls are so cute, you know. I will definitely put it on my list.
I love it. And I will say again, and this is something that I said about Boys Run the Riot, and something I want to say about My Love Mix-Up too. The friendships that are at the core of the series are what make a very big difference to me, and what make them feel so strong, and like they're these ones that I want to keep coming back to, because it's not just about maybe like a love story or a couple. I care about all of the characters throughout the series.
I got it. So, okay, so here's the thing. We know this is GL, Girl Love.
Yes.
You said that was BL.
Yes, My Love Mix-Up is a BL.
But I'm like, But the Boys Run the Riot doesn't have that kind of...
No.
Like, okay.
Nope.
Right.
So Rio, he's a trans boy, and he specifies when he's first talking about himself that he is interested in girls, and he does have a crush on one of the girls in his class. Especially in this first book, it's very background. She pops up here and there. She's kind of like a casual childhood friend, and you know that he likes her, and he'll blush sometimes around her, but it's not integral.
Okay.
It's definitely, I would not call Boys Run the Riot a romance.
Okay.
It's much more story about identities.
Interesting. Are there other, again, not knowing manga, like BLGL, I just learned that. Are there other things that like acronyms or anything that if you're entering into it that you wouldn't? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So BL and GL is kind of the more common ones that you're hearing these days. When I was growing up, you would call BL. It's in the in Western countries we were pronouncing it yaoi, but I went to a convention actually with a panelist, and she specifically was like, "That's not how you pronounce it. It's yaoi. Like if you're speaking Japanese and you're using a Japanese word, please pronounce it right." But most Westerners will pronounce it wrong and say yaoi, and that was what it was usually referred to. At this point in time, I think, at least when I was growing up, it used to be more of the understanding that yaoi was a more adult version of it, with more mature themes sometimes, and then they would sometimes call the more slice of life ones, which didn't have as many mature themes. It was just kind of like the boys starting to like each other, shonen ai.
Okay.
So shonen means boys and ai means love. So it's boys love, BL.
Okay.
That's what it all kind of shortens to. BL, boys love, GL, girls love. And so that's what you might hear for some of the, again, shonen ai, yaoi, yaoi for BL. But for GL, the other word, and I think this is the only word, I'm not sure, yori is the one that I've heard the most for anything where it's focused on two women.
Interesting.
And I'm not sure I've heard too many other options. There is another one for where it's about two men, bara, I believe. And I think those tend to be less, again, like I said before, own voices is there's been a big lack kind of in a lot of series. I think bara tends to try to cater more to where it includes own voices, and it also tries to specifically gear itself more towards gay men.
Interesting.
From everything that I've looked into, at least.
So I didn't read any other. I did pick out some other mangas that day, and because when I'm at the library, I pick out way too many books, and I did, check them out, increase circulation, but I didn't read any more. But I will definitely put those on my list.
Yes, please do. And I want your thoughts.
Yeah.
So now that we've gone into some of the larger thought questions, we have our next one, which is about our quick thoughts. So the first one is, would you recommend this book to someone on the street, Diane?
I would recommend Runaway with Me to, I always am like, every book has a reader, you just have to know the right person. So yes. I would.
What would you call it if you could give it a different title?
I don't know. The title, I mean, like, because we didn't get to that. Like, it makes me think of Runaway Bride, but we didn't get to that yet.
I also, whenever I thought about it, I always think, it's that Runaway Bride series.
Yeah, but that's what it looks like on the title, but it doesn't, we're not there yet. So it's like, or maybe like To Be Continued. Because like that might be a good one.
To Be Continued. That's very cute because they started, they had their whole thing, and you think it's done, but no, they're continuing on now.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What is the emotions you felt? We kind of went over
Yeah, we
those
kind of went
already,
over that.
so-
I think a lot of emotions, but a lot of like a little frustrated with Midori and a little sad for Maki, and yeah, but also sad for Midori. So, but it wasn't like, again, I went into manga thinking like, oh, it's going to be a lot of humor and this and that, but it was real, being slice of life. It was real emotions.
Yes.
So,
All right. What format did you consume this book in?
well, it's not audio,
Yep.
which is what I normally have. Obviously, it's print, and we might even have a digital version, but I took out the print.
We do have a digital version.
Yeah.
I think that's actually how I read it.
On Hoopla, or
I think so.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did the print, the physical copy.
And then if you could pick a theme song.
Okay, so that I kept hearing, because it was Run Away With Me, I kept thinking, oh, it'll be Nora Jones' Run Away With Me. But Nora Jones, the song is not Run Away With Me, it's Come Away With Me. I don't know if you know the song.
I do, but
Right?
you know what? I think it still works.
Yes,
I think
yeah.
it still works.
I think so too. So that's what I think. Nora Jones, Come Away With Me. So let me do your 5 quick thoughts.
Okay.
Now. So let's see. So the first one is, would you recommend this book to someone on the street?
Yes. I think there's so many great aspects about it. Anyone who is really interested in fashion, who really likes more of the kind of the punk scene or punk aesthetic would really like it. People who like books that are like specifically about friendships or kind of underdogs coming up and doing things. There's so many different aspects of this book that I think I could recommend. And like you said, though, I think there is a book for everyone and that there is a person for every book.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think
the
I would.
librarians of us. Yes. If you could give it a different title, what do you think?
Okay, so one of the designs that Rio does is a stylistic version of the phrase "no shame in my game."
Oh.
It is very much about letting go of shame in your identity, and letting yourself be open with yourself and letting yourself live authentically. And as I kind of said, that is such a key theme of this entire series. So if it wasn't Boys Run the Riot, it would be No Shame in My Game, which is a reference to his first design, sort of, for the shirts.
And then the third one we kind of talked about, but what emotions did you feel?
Yeah, I felt a lot. I felt kind of like a feeling of friendship. I don't know how to express that, but it's kind of that, even though this isn't a cozy story, it's that cozy vibe of, okay, these people are friends who are caring about each other. They're showing up for each other. And so I felt a very strong pull of friendship there. And it makes the story, again, even though there's definitely negative aspects that they're dealing with, and it's not a cozy vibe story, it makes it feel like you're having a kind of like safe, like, it's a very kind of like safe reading experience sort of thing, where you're just like, oh, these people are friends. They care about each other. They're going to make mistakes, but they want to do their best. So it's you're not expecting it to become a suddenly very dark story. It's still got that hope within it.
Nice. And then, what format did you consume the book?
So I consumed Boys Run the Riot physically. My Love Mix-Up, I think consumed digitally first. But both of them, when I reread them this time around, both of them I did physically. And I prefer, when I can, to read manga physically. They're fun. They're fun to have in your hands.
Yeah.
They're pretty easy to transport around, and I flip through the pages very quickly.
Yeah. So. And then if you could pick a theme song, what would it be? Pause.
All right, so I don't think I have a specific song in mind, but I have a vibe, which is kind of the earlier mid 2000s kind of punk and emo boy group scene. So Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance, all of those kind of vibes. That's when I'm looking at this book and seeing it, that's what's playing in my head.
Interesting.
I don't know that there's a specific song from them that's like sticking out immediately, but those are the vibes that I get as I'm reading this series.
I'll have to, when I read it, to see if I love My Chemical Romance.
Yes,
so
My Chemical
to
Romance
see
is
if
very
I,
good.
like,
Fall Out
feel
Boy.
that. Fall Out Boy. I was going to
Yes.
say, all right, I'll have to see what
Those are the vibes that I get.
All right, so that takes care of, that's our podcast. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
Just that I want to reiterate, there's, just like we said, there's a book for everyone and there's a person for every book. I swear the same is true as with manga.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different genres within it, and it's so fun, and a lot of different genres are now featuring LGBT characters, so they're not all slice of life. There's some that are fantasy, there's some that are more action, there's some that have more mystery components. They're really expanding, and I'm very excited about the fact that we're getting some more of these titles with more protagonists who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah, and thank you for putting it, because I wouldn't have, again, manga is not something I would normally grab, and now I've got like 3 at home and now a few more to put on my list. So Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to visit the Ocean County Library's website for more podcasts and events. All the titles mentioned in today's episode can be found throughout the Ocean County Library, free with your library card. Until next time, happy reading.